Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Carnival of Randomness. I'm Rob. Zach's roaming around the catacombs, and I'll explain that. We're in a subterranean dig under what used to be a Lakeshore Record Exchange on Lake Avenue. And we're looking around for the long lost, it's not the Lost Ark, it's the Gothic Toad album. We heard this was legendary. This band was just incredible, and we can't find it anywhere. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about that rock from those days. Call it classic rock, hard rock, metal, whatever the hell we want for music. And luckily, we're blessed by some very good guests. Actually, we have the second president of the United States, John Adams, right here. Hi, John.
Hello, how are you
And we
today?
actually have some connections to the Toad there, Jeff and Rob.
Hey, what's up?
Oh, my God.
And we'll start with you, Rob, a little bit, because you've drummed for Lou Gramm. If you'd like to just talk about that a little, we'll talk about Foreigner, Lou, and then we'll just see where the hell this goes, unless we find that album.
Yeah. Okay, so, yeah, up until just recently, I've been drumming for Lou Gramm for the last 3 years, going all over North America with him, having a great time.
The first time you played, did it feel like the first time?
Yeah, it did feel like the first time, and just recently felt like the last time, but yeah, it was great, yeah.
It was very urgent.
I gotta give you credit, man. You're like living the dream.
Yeah.
I think about this all these
great.
years ago, and then you're drumming for Lou. And what was the experience like? How was it on the road and everything? And the one thing I want to ask, technically, what song did you really get into playing? Did you really enjoy, or because you've drummed for a long time?
Yeah, I've been drumming for, 44 years, ever since I was like 6 or 7. And, no, I mean, playing with Lou, I mean, I've done stuff with him prior to actually joining the band. I had filled in for his brother Ben when Ben got sick 3 days before a show, and did a gig out in California about 10 years ago. And then I would rehearse, like if Ben couldn't make it in from New York City, hey, we want to rehearse, can you go drum? And I would do that. And then back in 2004, and again 2 years ago, we did a couple sessions re-recording some Foreigner music to be used for promotional purposes. So in 2004, I did about 6 or 7 songs, and then 2 years ago, we did it again and recorded a bunch of Foreigner songs, pieces of them, not the whole song. And so, all over throughout the years, I've been associated with Lou. His nephew, Peter, who's Ben's son, sang with us in a Foreigner tribute band as well, and Lou's played with that. So when I finally got the chance to play in Lou's band for good, it was kind of a dream come true. I never expected that, I would get that chance, but it came. And, man, I met a lot of people, played in front of a lot of people, saw some real cool places. Lou's a cool dude. He's really funny, when you get him going. And
He likes his muscle cars.
loves his cars. Yep. And, so I can't complain.
One way to do this for an intro, because I have that historian in me, what first got all of you into this music? What was your first thing, your first album, or like what really got you said, wow, this is the type of stuff I like, except for Yngwie Malmsteen, who can be boring after a while.
That show last night was so... It would have been great.
Well, we'll go to that. What are your thoughts on Yngwie Malmsteen, Jeff?
We're jumping into that one? Or
We're jumping all around.
Do you want to start with what...
We'll do that, then we'll go back to that question, and we're random here.
All right, so I guess there's a couple things. I'll start with, like, what kind of got me to this point in music, right? And then I'll explain the whole show that I was at last night. I guess like most kids when they're really young, there's something like you get attached to somehow, some way. And I'm not shy and saying when I was really, really young, what the hell was the name of that band? They had
ABBA?
No. Close to it. Close to it.
Village People.
No. Hey, can you swear on this?
Fuck no.
Okay,
No.
good. Fuck, it's driving me up the wall. Man,
I clicked that
they played
little
this on
explicit
Saturday
button.
Night Special or Saturday Night...
Oh, 38
Skinner.
special.
No, fuck, they had a TV show.
The Monkeys.
Bay City Rollers.
Yes, there you go. Thank you. So,
Once he gets the
Well,
prize.
Duncan was cute.
oh, so Jesus Christ. So, that was like the first like thing about music. It was Bay City Rollers, a TV show or whatever. You're like, oh, okay, great. And then it was Styx.
That's a big leap.
A massive leap. Thank God I made it, though. Styx is, I would say, from a classic rock perspective, that was like the band for me. And then from Styx, I went to Iron Maiden, and then from there,
We'll get
another
in.
large
We
league
will
there.
get
there's
into
some
them.
then it was all.
The only thing
from
with
there was just
Styx
all
is they
metal.
got me on that Mr. Roboto stuff.
Yeah, that like
that
turned me
kind of
off.
sort of got me a little bit, like Paradise Theater,
Turned me
Pieces
off.
of Eight, Equinox.
Yeah.
I will say this. I'm going to throw it out there. I know we were going to talk about it later, but Styx will always hold a place in the fans of Steelers, in the hearts of Steelers fans.
Yep.
For the old Renegade videos, which are still played.
Yeah.
Go to YouTube, and every month there's a different
You go to
Steelers
the
pump
yeah.
up
You go to the
Renegade.
game and they played at the
Oh,
game,
God,
which,
it's beautiful.
which is great. But you know, like Styx was the band, and then it was Iron Maiden, and to me, they're
We'll
like
definitely
my
get
all-time
into
favorite.
them.
But
You're
since
going to
it-
see Iron Maiden soon, aren't you?
oh hell yeah, yeah. That was a fiasco getting those tickets,
Bruce.
but I did.
We're plugging you. Give us something.
But I will. I'm
Good
gonna
luck with that
kind of,
one.
I guess, bring this back around. So at the intro, you were talking about Gothic Toad. For people that don't know, that was me and Rob's band back in high school, and I want to take this time to apologize to Rob for breaking up the band. But I just
Never forgave you.
You know, I mean, it was tough.
Just
you
when
know?
you were going to do a stadium tour.
Well, I mean,
With ABBA.
let's think about this. So.
with Ebb and the
You know,
Basic
we're
Rollers.
like normal bands. You start in somebody's garage or basement. It was Rob's basement, and you know we're playing. We're having fun, doing our thing, and then next thing you know, we're playing in front of like 30 people at school, and it was just bizarre. You know, you're walking down the hall, and you got people that they come up to you and they're like,
Gothic
"Hey,
Toad."
do you have the notes from math class?" I just couldn't handle it. I mean, the notes from math class that really meant, hey, can I be your roadie?
Yes.
Or,
Yeah.
can I get free tickets backstage?
Well,
and that's not
yeah.
why I got into music.
No,
and
no,
I'm like, I couldn't do it.
The
And
star thing was getting to you early. I know.
massively paparazzi.
People would ask me for pencils all the time, and I knew they really wanted drumsticks.
Exactly. You're like, but you can handle it.
There's
I
this
couldn't.
whole hidden language I've just
No,
never
the
been
women
privy to.
throwing themselves at you.
I'd walk out of social studies class, and next thing you know, I look around, and there's like massive amount of people following me. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the hell is up with this? Sure, they use the excuse they're going to class, right? Yeah.
What'd you think of that test? Well, what do you mean by that?
Exactly. So I'm
couldn't handle the
I'm like,
pressure.
I'm done.
There
I'm
was
out.
whole
Can't do it.
secret language to rock and roll. We learned it early.
Real early.
Some of us handled the pressure, and Jeff
But
cracked.
as we go on, this is
I
about
broke up-
Yingwei just because we were talking about it.
Look, I broke up the band. I get it, and it took a while to kind of reconnect with Rob over it. It was tough.
Yes.
But for my own sanity, I had to do it.
Every time I went to your parents' party house, I just had flashbacks. And it
You
just,
didn't have to do a Blues Brothers style montage.
No, there were
Going to various restaurants and stores.
no reunion tours. We're not doing any of
No.
that. When we said it
I've
was
heard
done, it's done.
rumors. Rich Stadium in January.
well, and if I was still drumming for Lou, my contingency with him was if Gothic Toad ever came back, sorry, Lou, you're going to have to get a sub because, it's just more important to me.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. I don't even think he would tour. He would cancel the tour to be at that show, though.
Correct.
All right, I think we're going to have to start a GoFundMe.
Yes.
They don't need it.
So-
People would donate.
A Toad fund me.
So,
Oh.
so not only did I get into music early, I had my my little dip my toe in the whole rock star thing and couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
Bailed, but
Well, John,
Still
when you
go to
were
shows all
governing
time,
the
though.
country back in the 1800s, what got you into this?
I went to Boy Scout camp when I was 13, and up to that point, anybody remember WEZO, the Easy Listening radio
Oh, yeah.
station?
yeah,
That's all my parents let me listen to. And I went to Boy Scout camp for 2
that
weeks.
explains a lot.
God help you.
Yeah. And they played Led Zeppelin 2
With Mr.
and
Slippy Fist,
Def
the
Leppard
DJ.
Pyromania on loop for 2 weeks. And when I came back, I started a band and became a bass player. And my mother thought I'd gone to the devil.
I swear to God, I'm probably the only person in Rochester that has never been involved in a band.
Well, we'll have to involve you if the Toad does reunite.
You could be our
You'll be part of it.
bodyguard.
I wanted to point out that when I was 13 and 14, I really wanted to be a rock star, tour.
Because it got the toad.
Absolutely. Gothic
the
Toad was
influence was
inspiration on
everywhere.
that. But I tell you, Rob has been doing that for years, and he says he's been drumming for 44 years, and in my estimation, he started about 8 years before he was born because it does not look like he's aged in the rock and roll lifestyle. If I was doing that, it would be along the lines of Lemmy. Rob, you look great for
by the way,
being
God
on the
rest
road
his
for
soul.
so long.
Thank you.
Say again?
God rest his soul, man, because that guy,
Lemmy.
how's he not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
But you know what the weird thing about Lemmy is? The guy was how much that guy drank and drank and drank and drank, and yet not one musician that you ever hear talk about Lemmy can ever remember the guy remotely drunk. For as much as he drank, nobody. You listen to anybody say anything about Lemmy, nobody's ever seen the guy drunk.
Not quite like Shane
No, the
McGowan.
thing I remember.
That's a fair point.
Tolerance.
I remember
tolerance,
reading
right?
about. I remember reading about Lemmy living on a houseboat, starting the day with a pitcher of vodka and OJ. Starting the day.
That'd be a good day then. Right?
We got the OJ part.
At least for the first hour.
Yeah, you got your vitamins.
But no, I never heard any stories about any weird stuff. Lemmy was wasted at concert.
That's what I'm saying.
All I
You
remember
never hear
seeing
that.
him at the Penny Arcade. He had that cigarette in his mouth the whole show. Mm-hmm. And it was really, really loud. You didn't even have to go to the show. You could stay in the park.
When I went and saw Alice Cooper in '86, it was my freshman year of college, and I don't know if you went to that show, but I went to see Alice Cooper at the Auditorium Theater, and Motorhead opened up. And I swear to God, never seen Motorhead in my life, and I couldn't hear for weeks after that. Motorhead was so loud. Holy shit!
The only one I ever heard that was supposed to be as loud was AC/DC, but that's the one band I never saw.
No,
I heard they reverberated against the wall sometime, but I can't think of anybody being louder than Motorhead. I heard Reverend Horton Eat was really loud in the day, but they mellowed out.
wow. Well, that's why I wear hearing aids right now.
Wow.
No, it's one I always miss.
hey,
That
dude,
was
I'm
like
heading
fell
down
through the
that path.
cracks.
There you go. You got them too. No shit.
I'm the lone holdout here, apparently.
But what actually got you first into this music? Like this type of music we're talking about? Because you were always into it. I remember Long Live Randy Rhoads for all of us.
Oh yeah, man. Well, my story started similar to Jeff's, I guess, because it was another, one of those wacky bands you never want to admit that you listen to. But my mother always was into the Osmonds.
I watched Donnie and Marie. I
Yeah.
knew the full story.
Well,
I had a crush on her.
Yeah, but this was even like
Donnie?
the brothers. Like
On Marie.
a little bit country, a little bit rock.
If there's anything wrong with that.
No, I mean, whatever floats your boat, I'm fine, man. Go for it.
But so my mom had Osmond records, and I used to drum along to those. And I had this little metal chair and this big, thick Disney book, and I would hit the top of the chair that made a metallic ting sound like a cymbal, and I'd hit the book and stomp my feet. And that was like my first makeshift drum set. And then when Kiss appeared on Paul Lynde's Halloween special in '76, that corrupted me because I was like, holy fuck, what the hell is this
Kiss
shit?
and Paul Lynde? Why have I never heard that was a thing?
Oh,
You
man.
can catch it on YouTube.
I'm gonna
It's all-
find that
Yeah, you got to
tonight.
find it.
That was actually related to that. Two Robs don't make a right, but that's both us here.
That's right.
That was literally the same thing for me. I used to watch Donnie and Marie.
Yeah.
I used to watch the Bugaboos and HR Puffin stuff.
Loved HR
And you don't have to do drugs if you watch HR Puffin stuff.
Right, they did
No,
it for us.
if you do, you understand it.
Well,
The
probably
thing
makes more
was, I
sense.
saw but what I saw, the legendary movie at the time that's not very good if you see it now, Kiss Meets the Phantom of the
Oh
Park.
God, that shit.
And that got me. And I
Yeah.
watched Kiss, and I remember Detroit Rock City, Beth on the Paul Lynde special. And what the heck is this? Then I went down. The first Kiss album I ever got was Alive.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
And that I just went from there. Then I started
Sure.
picking up other stuff.
Yeah.
I was never like into Kiss. Like never really. They didn't
Yeah,
really.
neither was I.
Yeah, it's weird. Like you're either like really, really like them, and
Oh,
that was
people
the
were
band that
obsessed
got you,
with
Yeah.
them.
or you don't. I don't think there's an in between.
I
Well,
think they're
you know,
showmen.
yeah, it
I think
was.
a lot of people, you look
Yeah.
at the angle like that they're showmen.
Yeah.
And that's the way you look at
I have nothing. I got no problems with that at all.
Oh,
I
a lot of
mean,
respect. They
yeah.
cut the teeth for a lot of rock and rollers.
Yeah.
Well, they made it a lot more profitable
Sure.
for a lot more bands
I
by
was
showing
gonna
what
say,
you can do.
Rob,
with
you and I were
merchandising.
talking about this the other day.
Yeah.
They're marketing geniuses, especially Gene
Absolutely.
Simmons.
Absolutely.
I mean, the man is a marketing
But
genius.
then the other one that got me was Diary of a Madman and Ozzy.
Well, that
And
that
Paranoid.
came a little long after for me. Yeah. When I first saw Ozzy on After Hours, I actually saw that when it was broadcast because that was the only way you could.
Yeah.
There was no
MTV.
there was
or
no
YouTube or
nothing,
anything
and it was
like that.
simulcasted on CMF, and I recorded that.
Oh,
on
remember
cassette.
those days like the
which I
King
still have.
Biscuit Flower Hour,
Yeah.
Rock
Yeah.
Line, all
I
this
got
stuff?
one of those. I got one of the Ozzy. I actually have the actual vinyl I got from Lakeshore Records. I paid $30 for it back in like '82. I still have it, and it's probably worth a lot more than $30. But I actually have it's 2 vinyl set. And,
The story I
got
heard
that.
when they played the Diary tour here, and we were so looking forward to seeing Randy Rhoads. That's when the
No.
tragedy occurred.
Yeah.
That Bernie Torme,
Yep.
he was playing. Story I heard in Rudy Sarzer's book, Riding the Rails, is that Brad Gillis was in the wings, listening, practicing, getting ready to take over.
I don't know if that was here when it happened, but yeah, he was.
Well,
He
that's
was
what Rudy
groomed.
says in his book.
Yeah.
Because he played bass.
Wasn't he one of the guys that Ozzy auditioned?
Who?
Brad Gillis? Before,
No.
like when they were doing Randy, like, okay, I got to put a band together. Sabbath fired me. You're auditioning all these. Wasn't Brad Gillis one of the people that
I
he
don't
was
think so.
auditioning?
I never heard
with
that.
Randy? I have no idea. I mean, I don't know.
No,
Like,
but
I'm out of the rock scene. You're in it. I mean, I bailed in high school, man.
well, I knew Brad was getting groomed.
It was too much. The fame was
Yeah,
too
plus
much.
the fame was too much. We've already gone. That's been discussed in rock lore. The Jeff Bauman breakdown. You can just Google that anywhere. It's
Behind the music.
Yes.
I
remember
heard you
that.
were in a monastery in Los Alpes for a while.
No, that's a rumor, though. No, I was. All right.
the rumors of your death have been greatly exaggerated.
We're gonna do a
Is that-
special on the
No,
mysterious.
it was. I moved to Belgium, and I worked in this old
Waffle factory?
No, it wasn't waffle. It was actually it was a brewery, and my job was to clean the tanks. But what they didn't tell me is you clean them after they're empty. So I thought you just went in and just start drinking until you know. And I just
What was
I-
cleaning drinking?
That's what I thought.
Wait a minute. I think the Belgian word for clean is drink. So you were doing your job properly.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah.
The thing for me then too from Ozzy, I got into. I actually went down to Sears and I bought Paranoid.
Yeah.
And I got into that. Then I got Ma Bruce Dio. Mm-hmm. And Dio's been everywhere. And seen him.
Yeah.
I still have,
To me, I'll be Sabbath. I like Sabbath with Dio.
Oh, no doubt.
I do.
Better than Sabbath
Yes.
with Ozzy.
I do.
I know it's like.
well, I
people
know the
like,
story is that a lot of
I agree
people
with
they don't realize that Geezer Butler, who by the way is a vegetarian Christian, and they started wearing the crosses because they said a bunch of weirdos started coming to their hotels, and somebody told Ozzy one time by talking about the devil, you invoke him, and he said. That explains why the first album didn't sell so well. But he wrote all the songs. Ozzy was like so wasted all the time. They'd have to go find him.
Yeah.
So he really didn't do anything.
Well, Geezer always wrote the words.
Yeah.
I mean, Ozzy's really not contributed much to any vocals he's ever sang as far as writing the words.
Yeah.
It was either Bob Daisley,
Yeah.
Geezer Butler, or whoever. Not that Ozzy didn't contribute melodies, but if you listen, it's funny, like history always changes in time. And if you listen to the history of Ozzy now and how I think he and Sharon want it to be told, Ozzy sat down with Randy Rhoads and Ozzy hummed and Randy wrote. And that's how it all came. And it's not really the truth because I got Bob Daisley's book Off the Rails. Yeah. And if you really want to read the truth, that really tells you how Bob really worked with Randy and then later Lee. And they kind of wrote those tunes. And Ozzy did contribute. But it's just interesting how, the victors write the history, I guess.
Of course.
Is the saying,
Tony Iommi had the accident where he hit the thumb.
I was going to say, was that him or Geezer? I couldn't remember.
No, that
He
was
lost a part
him.
of his face.
And when he did, he was like, I'm done. I'm never going to play again. Then he heard about Django Reinhardt, the famous gypsy guitar player who had part of his finger off. And did you know that Tony Iommi was in Jethro Tull for about 6 months?
Yeah.
Watch Rock and Roll Circus. He's in there. He just didn't like the music.
Yeah.
I had
I do
no
have
idea
one
about
He
that.
thought it was Jethro Tull.
With
Jethro
Rob,
Tull.
and what Rob said about Sharon and Ozzy, I have the one correction. That the way that Sharon andOzzy want this story told, it's just Sharon.
Well, yeah, Ozzy kind of just goes along.
Ozzy, at this
Sharon
point,
Uno.
Sharon!
Hold on, though. Hold on. I mean, without her, I don't think he'd be where he is.
Correct.
He'd be dead
Correct.
now.
Well, you
No,
can be
you
safe in a house.
Well, yeah, he'd probably be dead 6 feet under, but
No, you got to give her credit
you
for that.
have to
yes.
give her credit
Yes.
for managing an artist
Yes.
and getting that artist to this point.
Yeah,
I mean,
but and this, well, not to really bug on Sharon, but just here's a case in point. Look what they did about 8 years ago. They went back, took the original 2 records, and got 2 other guys to re-record Bob Daisley and Leakers Lake's parts because they were in a battle with those guys over royalties. And
Yeah,
went on
that's
for
really
years.
control.
So, and that really was a bad PR move. I've got him. I bought him out of curiosity.
hold on.
but-
Who's it a bad PR move for?
because Ozzy regrets it. Ozzy was like, yeah, shouldn't
Well,
have done
he
that.
probably regrets it because of friendship stuff. But Sharon's doing it because that's more money in the coffers.
Right, but they did that to F.
I wonder
the
if
other
she
2 guys.
orchestrated the whole Black Sabbath reunion. Because did anybody ever hear the new
Oh,
album?
without a doubt, she had to.
I thought
they
it was-
don't have it without her.
I thought it was overproduced myself a little bit. Like it just sounded like Ozzy's voice was weak, and they really had to amp the production
But
up on it.
that's actually the only time I ever saw Black Sabbath was the reunion back in the late 90s.
Which one?
The first one.
Dio, but they did Heaven and Hell.
No,
They
but it
called
was
themselves Heaven and
no,
Hell.
but this was the
you
Black
started
Sabbath
wrong.
reunion tour
Yeah.
with Ozzy, and I remember it was at the old Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, and Pantera opened up.
Oh my God, that'd be
Yeah,
a great show.
back in the days of Dimebag Darrell.
Yeah.
Then the Deftones were supposed to play, but apparently, like, their equipment was stolen. So Pantera, like, just kept on playing.
I have no issues with that, but
No.
I mean, Deftone, that would have been a great bill.
Yeah, and then Ozzy and Black Sabbath came on. But yeah, so I
Oh,
did get to
John's
see
got a thing to
Pantera,
say
which was
here
kind of
on this
awesome.
one too.
Oh yeah, the Heaven and Hell issue, right? So Ozzy and Sharon re-recorded that album to kind of screw those original musicians, and they were a little apologetic about that. But Heaven and Hell came about because they were touring as Black Sabbath, and Ozzy had a problem with that name. He didn't want them to tour as Black Sabbath.
Right, because Sabbath had already reformed. So then when they went back to Dio, they're like, well, you got to call it something else.
I have to say, Dio pointed to me at one concert at the War Memorial during the last in line.
Dude, I got two.
I almost wet my pants.
Did he think you were a holy diver?
That's a good.
Let's see,
No, I
Heaven,
thought he was a
Hell,
rainbow in the
Hell,
dark.
Hell,
Oh,
Hell.
damn, that one was better.
No, what did he do? What about Dio?
Oh, dude, I got the two fingers, man, right at me.
Awesome.
Because
Devil
you're the last in.
Devil
you're the
Horns
last
looked
in.
right at me.
And then I got Vivian Campbell actually shook my hand.
Hold on.
There you go.
Since we're talking about Dio, I'm gonna flip the script here.
Oh, that's what we're doing.
What do you guys think about this whole hologram thing that they're doing with Dio for touring?
No.
Like they got the band and then like a video of him.
Yeah, I know. I knew about that before it was going to happen through certain connections that I was privy to have, and I know a little bit behind the history of that, and it's pretty cool, I think. But I don't know, man. Look at it this way: the history of rock, very shortly, all these guys are going to be dead. So you either got two choices: you either got tribute bands, which are already doing well in casinos and stuff, or this hologram thing is starting to gather steam because they're doing one now for Frank Zappa.
Freddie Mercury, are they doing one?
I wouldn't doubt if they do that at some point, but I don't know. But there's other people too that did a hologram, and sometimes
Man, I don't.
It's creepy, man.
yeah.
It's creepy.
Well,
I just
because
break down and cry.
I'm not.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
not
know, man.
spending money
yeah,
to
Well,
go
that's the
watch
thing.
a TV screen.
I was going to say, what's the
Like-
difference between that and just watching them on TV?
Right.
that's it.
I just-
For
I
me,
can't-
for Dio too, I have to bring up probably my favorite song with Dio is "Man on Silver Mountain."
That's a great song.
A rainbow.
Yeah,
one of
I was
many.
going to say that was his
Him and
Rainbow
Richie
days.
Blackmore tonight. Well, who does get along with Richie
Yeah,
Blackmore?
that's your top.
I don't know. Rainbow in the Dark's really good. Heaven and Hell.
There's too many, man. There's too many.
That guy was just so good.
And he's
Like,
sung in a
how's he
doo-wop
not in the
Ride
Rock
the
and Roll
Tiger,
thing?
Rob.
You want to hear something funny?
Yeah.
He went to the UB to be a pharmacist.
Isn't he from around Syracuse?
He's from the
Portland.
Portland area.
Portland, yeah.
And my dad was within a year of UB studying to be a pharmacist as Ronnie, because they were born like within a year each other, the same age. So I'm like, you ever go to school with a guy named Ronald Pavada or whatever the hell his real name is, for pharmacy school? My dad didn't know, didn't ring a bell, but it's weird that my dad and Ronnie were at the same pharmacy school within a year or two.
That's
together.
pretty damn
There's a
random.
big sign out by Cortland, too. If you drive down there, now they advertise on the radio. Home of Ronnie James Dio.
Yeah.
Well, it's Cortland. What else you got?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. What else?
No offense to Cortland, but come on.
What else they got? Cortland
Okay,
apples. I mean,
hold
other
on.
than that,
You
they
got,
got Dio.
of music.
Yeah.
You've got Ronnie James Dio and the band Raven.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have, I still remember that thing, Stars, the benefit thing,
Oh,
where,
yeah,
where
yeah,
everybody's,
yeah.
and I remember this singing like Yngwie Malmsteen, your favorite, sitting there playing guitar, and
I remember the video that
Yeah,
came
yeah.
out, and they were interviewing the guys from Spinal Tap, and one of them was sitting there going, I love how he puts the J in there, Yngwie J. Malmsteen, to differentiate himself between all the other Yngwie Malmsteens.
They're doing like a reunion thing, Spinal Tap.
Spinal
Yeah,
Tap?
I heard
Their
that again.
40th anniversary.
Well, Derek
or
Small's got a new album out. It's been out for a while now.
something. I saw that. I haven't heard
Small's
it.
Change.
oh my
Small's
goodness.
Change. It's bad.
Oh, that movie. Alice Cooper said I
It goes up to
never
11.
see. But I saw Judas Priest one time at
hilarious.
Darien Lake. They started out playing Electric Eye. They came down these pods, and Rob Halford got stuck in the pod. And he's trying to
the
sing.
bass
You hear him
player.
trying to sing.
Like the bass player in Spinal Tap?
Yes, exactly.
What was he saying?
arm
Up here
stuck in
in
there or
space.
something?
I'm still up here in
You know, and
space.
they're trying to get him
me
out
outta
and
here,
pounding
I'm
on
still
it.
up.
And he tries to come up, pretend nothing happens. Why don't we talk a little about Judas Priest then? Because I love him.
Great band.
You mean the cover band Judas Priest that's out there with no original guitar player Judas Priest?
Hope you guys.
No, the original.
Oh, okay, the
Anybody
original
you want,
Judas Priest.
I actually just got Rob Halford's Christmas album.
Which the Christmas Ride or
Winter
whatever it's called.
Song.
His
I
his
got that.
solo album,
With
Halford
3?
Resurrection, is unbelievable.
Oh,
Did
that's
you ever hear the
amazing.
duet he did with Bruce Dickinson?
Oh, yeah.
The one you love to
The one you love to hate.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great tune.
But I actually
highly
remember.
recommend it.
I just remember that I learned about them because one time we were asked our favorite albums in school, and then we had to go to the principal if we mentioned any. I got in trouble for an Iron Maiden thing in high school.
Really?
From one of the nuns.
Sister Margaret Mary?
No, it was
Just
Sister
wrap your
she's
hand
all-
with a ruler?
Was that when you were at Our Lady of Perpetual Motion?
That's it.
So the thing,
Sister
like,
Mary
all right,
did.
so we all went to Cardinal Mooney, which is no more, but you had,
Because Gothic Toad broke it up.
Yes. It blew the roof off the place,
we were
literally.
done, and like nobody wanted to. Like, everybody was going there because they could hang around with us. I get it,
Right.
right? So
Wasn't the Catholic thing at all. It was us.
So I remember my first day at school, and prior you had to do like some orientation thing, and I will bring this back around to music. And I met this kid, Pat Ball, great guy, have a blast with the guy, hilarious, funny as shit, and he's in my class, okay, awesome. He shows up, and you got to wear a dress shirt and you got to wear a tie, and he's got this white dress shirt on with this tie. And he's got a concert T-shirt underneath it, and it's Metallica, Kill 'Em All, and you can clearly see
it through
the
shirt.
logo straight through the back of the shirt. Oh my God!
Was it a sock tie, by the way? Remember those sock
Oh yeah,
ties
the
we
really,
used to wear?
really thin. Yeah.
And they recorded that album in Rochester, too.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing them, Master of Puppets, Cliff Burton, playing before Ozzy played. Was that...
I remember Ron Stein at Lakeshore Records when Master Puffets. Master
I got that one, too, with
came
Little
out.
Bird
No,
on
wait,
it.
no, that's the new Gothic Toad.
Master
Master
Puff-
of Puffins.
Master-
No,
Puffets.
it was actually done by Fraggle Rock.
Yes. So Ron had all the record shelves, of course, in his store, and he took a copy of Master of Puffets and put it in front of every record, so it looked like the whole store.
This is going to scare you. I remember this. You went to Lakeshore Record Exchange to get Master of Puppets, and
I'd
he
go
said...
there all the time.
And he
I
said...
used to play
he
that in
goes-
your car with Samino all the
And
time.
he
wow.
goes, Master of Puppets. You go, no, Slim Whitman.
So the thing that show when they were opening for Ozzy, I remember.
Was it
like,
which tour was that? Was that Bark at the Moon?
No, it was Ultimate Sin.
Ultimate Sin.
Ultimate
yeah,
Sin,
Jake
okay.
E. Lee.
Jake E. Lee, okay.
Yep.
And I remember in high school, everybody was talking about Ozzy, and I can remember me and Samino and Sheldon going, nah, Metallica. When you guys see Metallica, you're gonna be like, who's Metallica?
I
Who the
traded
hell?
with Sam
And
Belushi.
this-
I got Ride the Lightning.
And this is what kills me. And then I guess this is the function of Facebook and social media. So Metallica and by the way, they blew Ozzy off the stage back then. They just played Buffalo, right? And you have all these people on Facebook, Metallica, what's Metallica? Yeah, and you paid $175 to sit in the nosebleed section. And in high school, you wanted nothing to do with them.
Right.
And the
Like
tickets cost
nothing.
$6.
Yeah, I know.
Right, right. And then, but you're this massive Metallica fan. I'm like, whatever, man. If you like the music, that's great. Go for it.
Jump on the bandwagon.
Right, and more power to the band.
The cool
more power
part
to
was we saw him
musicians.
evolve because we
Oh,
were
yeah,
in
yeah,
at that
yeah,
time. Like I had my cassette of Ride the Lightning.
I still have the original pressings before Elektra signed them of the first couple records and the original Garage Days. I have all that. I still have all my vinyl with that stuff.
I mean, that's amazing and stuff. And I saw Cliff Burton, and I hope I didn't curse him because he came out after the show, and then he was gone.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we saw the original band. I mean,
yeah.
that's
well,
you
not
didn't
Dave
get it.
Mustaine.
Wow.
Side story on the Metallica Buffalo show. I didn't go, but we have a Domino store that was 3 blocks from that show. And they hit a record night that night because everybody went to buy pizza.
I'd want to play
Without a doubt,
More
man.
Metallica shows.
And John, since we're bringing up you, I know you have a special affinity for the Scorpions.
Oh, hell yes.
Now,
Greatest
anything you'd like
band
to
of
say
all
about
time.
them?
Yeah, debatable.
Debatable.
Oh,
Debatable.
Oh, here we go.
put them next
Rolling
to
up
each
my
other.
sleeves.
Bring it.
I was like Scorpions, but I think I was more of an Accept fan in high school.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay,
that hurt hard. I met him
All right,
with those
John, come on,
guitars.
That hurt.
But I love Scorpions too.
Let's hear about Scorpions, man. Come on.
Well, Scorpions are just, when I came back from Boy Scout camp, now a rock and roller, and went to the side of the devil, right about that time, Here I am blanking on the album.
It wasn't
Love It
Blackout.
First
It was
Blackout?
Love It First Sting, right? So Love It First Sting came out the next year.
I don't know. When I heard the Police,
I
had
love
to
the
feel in
entire
love.
album. Worldwide Live was the next year after that. I went to see them. That was my very first real concert that I saw.
then
Bon Jovi opened.
I think that's probably it.
Well, one of my first
like if
concerts.
you're just
yeah.
getting into rock and like and you go see that, you like the band and you go and that's your first show, you're hooked.
Well, I let off. My first three were Ozzy when they played here on Diver Man, and Rainbow Ride and Scorpions, and something else that I can't remember now.
Gothic
Judas Priest
Toad.
and Iron Maiden.
Gothic Toad.
Well, but that was the nosebleed seats, so I couldn't even see.
Well, that ruined it for you,
Is
for everybody else.
obstructive view okay? Then right here's fine.
What was the best show you've ever seen though? What's like the best concert you've ever seen?
I remember that Iron Maiden Judas Priest show was incredible, and that was Iron Maiden. That was their last stop on that tour. It was Screaming for Vengeance, Number of the Beast. That was incredible.
Iron Maiden just released on their YouTube channel their 3-series documentary leading up to.
I've seen Flight 666.
No, they did one different than that.
No.
You go to the station. It's actually really.
What was
really
the
good
best Scorpion show you've ever seen then?
Well, back 4 years ago, they played a tour
like a history
through
of Maiden.
the U.S. and
Check it out.
my girlfriend, my son, and myself went to see them in Columbus, Ohio. They did a great job. And then we went the following night and we saw them in Cleveland. And Cleveland was an absolutely special show. It was amazing.
Did you not get the
Where did they play
tambourine?
in Cleveland?
Where?
Yeah.
It was
It's a cube?
Jacobs Amphitheater. Is that what it's called? Jacobs something or other. It was a big open space, a roof but open on the sides.
Okay.
The end of the show, just about the end of the show, they played Wind of Change, which was a great tune. And right at the last note, Klaus fist pumped Rudy, because the crowd had reacted to this song absolutely amazingly, and it was the greatest moment I've ever seen in rock and roll. I was literally in tears in the crowd. This is how affected I am by the Scorpions.
Yeah, there you go.
I was affected when I was a kid. I used
Rob
to
is
like,
judging me
I used to
now.
like, I used to like the nudie album covers when we were a kid, like with the bubble gum on the boobies and stuff. When you were a kid.
How'd we
they-
go from
Back in
Scorpions
the
to
day-
that?
Well, back in the day,
No,
like,
they had those album covers.
Oh,
Club
yeah. Oh, you're talking about that. Oh, yeah, right. Animal magnetism.
Yeah.
I lost you for a second.
But back in the day, you'd buy an album and you'd open up and you'd spend like you're listening to the album, right? You put it on your stereo and you're like dissecting everything that's in that, the liner notes. You're
Yeah.
like who are they thanking?
Well,
And
that's you forget. That's when humans had attention spans.
yeah, true.
What?
That's true.
What were we talking about?
Sorry.
All right, so you're
Listening to
you're,
records.
you're
I'm not going to
greatest
say
show
best,
ever
but
was-
that was one of the best.
All right.
Because I never know.
yours
Whatever.
was the
Scorpions in Cleveland. Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
What about yours? What's your like best show you ever been to?
It's so hard because you your best show 30 years ago is different than what you think is best today because you're not in the same mind frame.
Right.
But I probably, without really having to think about it, would be my first show, which was Kiss and Night Ranger at the War Memorial. and this is when Night Ranger came out with their first record. Kiss was on Creatures of the Night. It was Paul Stanley's
Remember the birthday cake?
They brought the birthday cake out, and the War Memorial was half filled.
I was there.
Right.
Well,
here's the
With the
thing.
tank, the love gun
Yes.
I
tank.
forgot Night Ranger opened up.
Yes.
I couldn't even remember who opened up.
But the funniest thing is, they had to curtain off half the place because they weren't selling any tickets at that time. Yet everybody I've met in my entire life was at
been
that show.
that show.
And
Yeah.
remember, it was Creatures, and it was Vinny
Vincent,
Vincent. Because they had the cover story that
The
Ace
tank
broke his hand,
was
but he
the-
quit.
Well, I don't remember that.
Yeah, what happened was they had a deal that Ace was still supposed to be in the band. He wanted to quit after the music.
Oh,
from the
right,
album.
right.
So they said, just be quiet. We'll say you couldn't go on tour. And they had Vinny Vincent take
Yeah.
over for him.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think they canceled the tour right after that because it wasn't selling very
Well,
well.
they weren't selling
Remember
tickets
the
at all.
tank?
They-
The
yeah,
big
they-
The
tank on the drum set?
Oh, it was great. And Night Ranger was cool because here's the goofiest thing about this show. I couldn't go by myself. Here I am, 15 years old, and my mom had to take me to the concert, which is highly embarrassing. But hey, I got to go.
Whatever, yeah.
And I remember my mom, I told her about this later on. She flatly denies it. But I said, yeah, you really like the drummer in Night Ranger because he used to sit sideways. And she goes, I did. And I go, yeah, because he had striped spandex, and you really got into that. My mom, I was like, what? But I'm like,
Who was the other
Wait for you to
guitarist
say,
in there?
"Oh, yeah,
besides
you really
Brad
like the
Gillis?
show because those funny
Huh?
Who
cigarettes.
was the other
they passed around."
guitarist? in
Jeff Watson,
I always forget
Right,
his
he was
name.
phenomenal.
great guitar
Great
player.
guitar player.
Great
What
band.
was your
Actually, on that one, a couple years ago, I went to, I can't remember what it's called now. It used to be Starlight Amphitheater outside of Pittsburgh, but it was Cheap Trick, Def Leppard, and Poison.
Wow.
Yeah. And Brett Michaels, because he's from that area, he was home and he was having a blast, but I had never seen Def Leppard before. The one-armed drummer, God, that guy is good. Like, that was one of the craziest things I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
He had a charisma because when I saw Def Leppard here, they just had this charisma about them. People were really into it. And they just I remember they did Traveling Man at the end. We're saying, play Too Late for Love. You didn't play it.
Yeah.
Then Ellie took off his shirt and he had an American flag on.
But actually, and on that note, I wanted to, because you were talking about the crowd, do you think a crowd can really change the feel of a show?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because
absolutely.
the crowd at this show, they were nuts. So it was really, really,
Well,
really good.
I can tell you from experience, doing it. See, here's the thing. When you're on stage and you're playing,
Talking about Gothic Toad or Lou Gramm now.
well, Gothic hit a
Gothic
little,
Gramm.
Gothic Gramm. Yeah. Shh, you weren't supposed to talk about that.
Jesus. Exclusive here, folks.
No, when you're up there playing, I mean, I've done shows. Let's just take Lou as an example. Okay, we've done corporate shows when you're playing, and there might be 3,000, 4,000 people out there, whatever it is. But if it's a corporate event and they're just sitting in their suit and their ties and they're 70, 60 years old, they don't give what about the music. They're just there because this is an event. So, we're up there playing, but if you see people just sitting there shoveling food into their mouth and turn to their buddy doing a business deal over the volume and they're not getting into it, then you don't get into it. You know what I mean? Because it's a big circle. And when we did an 80s cruise back in March with Rick Springfield and Loverboy and it's all these 80s acts, and these people, once they're trapped on a boat drinking, game over. And oh, man. And I tell you, those are probably two of the best shows I ever did with Lou because they went nuts. We went nuts because they went. It's a big feedback loop. So you're up there playing, they're going crazy. You get it back from them, and it's just you can't explain it or put
Actually,
it into words.
think about with that Van Halen because I saw people throwing panties on stage.
Well, I can't say that's ever happened to me playing with Lou, but I can understand that would be very cool. Maybe in the Gramm.
Because Van
Gothic.
Halen was always sort of the party atmosphere and everything, and they had the big thing. It was like supposed to be New Year's every night.
Well, it's
Back
just,
then, it probably was.
What was your favorite show ever? So far, as of tonight, just
Mine?
your best. Did you enjoy?
Actually,
or as of today?
The best show I've ever seen, hands down, was this July, and it was in Pittsburgh at the amphitheater there, and it was Slayer's last tour.
Did they do Rain and Blood?
Oh yeah.
If they didn't, then
They
they would have probably burned that.
First off, the entire like event was like run spotless. So they would say first band comes on, let's say it's 7:00 and they're done at 7:45. I'm talking at 7:45, done, and within 5 minutes, next band's on playing. I mean, they had it down. Oh. And then Slayer came out. Game over. Game over.
Jinx.
They were unbelievable. The show, and I for the life of me, I couldn't understand how that drummer, Paul Bostaph, was playing for him this time.
I remember seeing them at the Penny Arcade being scared like hell because of the guys in the hoods.
So
there were guys in hoods.
But the amount of time that they're playing and there's flames. So you've got your speakers, and then like above the speakers, just kind of behind them, is this call it a propane tube, whatever, shooting this wall of flames. So the rest of the band's in front of it. That's got to be hot enough to begin with, and the speed that they're playing at is another thing. But then they also have these flames that are shooting straight up and then horizontal, and it's creating crosses, upside down crosses, and all that stuff. But it's all like right around the drummer. I'm like, how the hell is he not passing out? I mean, you got to the speed that he's drumming with the flame and the heat.
You got to be in good shape, dude. You got to be in good shape to play that stuff.
He used to carb load before playing the drums.
It's amazing.
I'll tell you,
that show is
2 years ago, we were doing 2 years ago. Not to take it back to me, but I will because it's there's reasons. But I'll tell you, as a drummer, it can get hot. We did a lot of outdoor shows when it was 90 degrees a couple summers ago, and I played behind a plexiglass screen because that's Lou's wish. And, even the lights will go down, still be 90 degrees, or the sun will go down, but they turn on some of these places still had old lights that produced a lot of heat. So it was like being in a sauna. I'm getting...
it probably hits a plexiglass and then just...
Well, I'm getting no breeze because the plexiglass is blocking the wind. But, so in other words, to be a drummer, I can imagine playing in Slayer because it's more physical. It's nuts. You got to be in good shape.
Well, Neil Peart said during some of the tours with Rush, he would have diarrhea and keep a bucket.
That's TMI, but
Mundane warrior.
I got one. Okay, you were talking about favorite shows that you went to. Is there a show that somebody has told you about that they went to that you wish you could have been at, either because of who it was or the hilarity surrounding it?
Yes,
I have one example I have. One of my friends, because you mentioned earlier, saw Loverboy at the Letchworth Bowling Alley. They set up
between lanes 4 and 8.
Yeah, exactly. They set up a little stage over the lanes. Like that, just for the hilarity factor, to say you saw Loverboy at the Letchworth Bowling Alley.
I think Quiet Riot did shows like that too in the 90s when everybody hit the
saw him
skids.
at the Penny Arcade. I remember that. But one I had...
Look, I got to give them all credit for still doing it, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I got to say, Black Oak, Arkansas at the festival tent here. I heard about it. I heard Jim Dandy, who, if you've never seen Jim Dandy, he was basically who David Lee Roth stole his look from. He came out snozzled drunk, swore at the audience, and fell off the stage.
Jim Dandy?
Yeah.
You mean the David Lee Roth impersonation? Well,
yeah.
No, David Lee Roth impersonated him.
Or the 70s pro. But I guess he came out swearing at the stage.
Was Tommy Aldridge in the band at the time?
I never saw him. That was the thing. I heard about it.
Oh, you heard about it.
That was the one I would have loved to see, just for the humor factor. That he fell off the stage. He was gone.
So two artists, bands that I wish I would have seen, not for hilarity purposes or just like really, really wish I would have seen. One is Stevie Ray Vaughan. I really, really wish I would have had the opportunity to see him. And the other one is Concrete Blonde.
Oh, Jeanette Napolitano.
Yeah,
Oh,
would love to see Concrete Blonde, but I mean she occasionally does some stuff, but yeah.
Do you have any wish list or anything you wish you saw?
Every band I didn't see. Live music is just, it's a thing that I really.
Well, I would pull one. We have
That's
to talk
a good answer,
about.
man. Drop the mic.
We would have to talk about Iron Maiden. Unless you have one. Do you have one you've never seen?
I wish I had been at the Auditorium Theater when Ozzy and Randy played in '81.
I do too.
I would have.
Well, you know the one that kills me. They appeared on Channel 31.
Right.
Ozzy did.
That was at the time.
And the problem
it was the day before the concert.
They knew my family, and I remember afterwards. Oh, if we knew you liked Ozzy, you could have came and met him. Well, thank you very much.
You sons of bitches.
Yeah. They went down to the Orange Monkey and were jamming too, I guess.
Yeah, I remember that show, hearing it, but my mom made my dad go to concerts with me at first.
Yeah.
So I was in the same boat as you.
Yeah.
So that was, but I would have loved to have seen that, but I missed the opportunity.
Yeah, they were at the House of Guitars doing a signing, I mean, it's just like,
I guess,
man, if I was 5 years older,
I guess you
would
could
have
find
been there,
that footage on YouTube still sometime, like them playing there.
Where?
I've heard, like my one friend Matt,
the After Hours,
the one at House of Guitars.
Thing.
I think they got Zach. They got some of Zach Wild playing there.
Oh, I've got that on a bootleg. Yeah.
Throwing back to the Quiet Riot comment, one of the saddest things that I think that happened in rock and roll was Kevin DuBro's death.
Yeah.
And he was at the time playing bar mitzvahs for $90.
Well, he was really. I saw him at the Penny Arcade.
He was a DJ too. He was living in Vegas, I think, or something like that.
I saw them at the Penny Arcade. Rudy Sarzo shook my hand. I've never watched it yet. But Kevin DuBro wouldn't talk to anybody. He was the one person there.
I remember seeing him walk around the arcade, kind of aloof. You know,
he just wouldn't talk to anybody.
Yeah, I talked to Carlos Cavazo. Talked my ear off twice. They played the Penny Arcade within a couple times, and he acted like he knew me, and I couldn't figure it out. But it was cool talking to him. And he told me he had cars.
He was at a Toad show.
Yes, that's got to be it. He told me he had a Lamborghini he bought back in the day when they had money. And at this time in the 90s when I was, I saw him there, he goes, I can't drive it anymore. I go, why not? He goes, I can't afford the insurance on it anymore because he had no money anymore.
There's a story. It was somebody, I think, from Rough Cut or one of those bands. And what he said was they had a record deal in the time. First album, they figured that you were going to hit it big and then it would go down. What happened with them is he said that's how it went. The first album would go really big, and then they would go down. But they figured the way he signed the deal was first album you got to get established, second album, then the third you finally get the money. So he said they made nothing off the first album was a hit. Little second, third album they sold to about 3 people and relatives. So now when I worked at a record, I got a job at a record store, and they asked me what my job was. I don't have any experience, but you may have had some of my records in here.
Who was this saying?
Somebody, I don't know, it was one of those bands like Rough Cut or one of those type of bands from the 80s.
I don't know.
So, but one band that exists and is going to play in Buffalo next year and still is doing very well is Iron Maiden, which rules.
Oh, hell yeah. Favorite band of all time. Greatest band of all time.
Have you liked Paul Di'Anno stuff?
I like Paul Di'Anno. I like Paul Di'Anno stuff, which is completely different than Bruce Dickinson stuff. Not a fan of Blaze Bailey. I like this stuff.
What went on with that? Because I remember Bruce left for a while, then came back.
I think he probably over-toured and...
That's what I think happened to them.
Him and Halford left at the same time and kind of rejoined their bands.
Yeah, wanted to do different things. Getting his pilot's license, wanted to do that.
Bruce is for those of you who don't know, Bruce is a very interesting man. He fences. He's Artemis. Is it What's his?
Yeah, Artemis.
He flies. He's a commercial pilot.
I've heard
he flies them around on tour.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I remember,
so their new thing is, so what they typically do. Let's say they come out with a new album. They tour on the new album, right? They'll do Europe, then they do America, and then the next tour cycle is some type of best of.
Yeah, but when they do the new album, that's all they play is the new album.
Right. I think that's great.
They played the old Somewhere in Time tour because they said a lot of people now have never heard this stuff.
Yeah, so they come out with a new album, they tour, and they play that new album. They'll play a couple of the older tunes, but they really kind of focus on the new album, which is great for a band that's been around that long to still be able to do that and their fans still show up. Then the next year they do like a best of, and they'll tour Europe for a year somewhere, and then they'll come to the U.S. So they were doing the Legacy of the Beast, and they did Europe, and I'm like, all right, they're going to be coming to the U.S. They're going to be coming to the U.S. And then the announcement comes out, okay, they're touring the U.S. I immediately grab my phone, I text my youngest son, you are not working on this day. Like August 13th, 2019, wherever you're working, tell them you have to have off. I'm bringing you to a Maiden show.
It's amazing they're selling tickets that far in advance.
Yeah, oh, my God.
And the thing, it'll probably be sold out.
Very
soon.
So I bought pre-sale tickets.
How much? If you don't mind me asking.
It was like $95 a ticket.
That's
and
not that bad.
I'm in like section 100, like 119 or 116 or something like that. And you go on because it's pre-sale. I'm like, okay. And I've got friends. Are you going to get to? Yeah, okay. Get me. I need 2. I need 3. Okay, I got to get 4 here. I'm like, shit, man, this is going to cost me a shit ton of money. I'm like, you guys better have the money here to pay me.
Yeah, they'll pay you at the concert.
Right.
So, no, man, we'll hit you up there and buy you a shirt.
So I was up to like 11 tickets. Like, I got to buy 11 tickets. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, okay, all right, I think I can do this. As long as I get the money, like, right away, I'm good. I go online. You're capped at 4.
Wow.
Oh.
So I'm like, okay, I buy my 4. Then I got a brilliant idea. I buy the 4. I log out. I go to log back in. Like I'm gonna buy 4 more, right?
Yeah.
You've already used your allotted pre-sale. You can't do it. And this was for the Maiden like fan club deal. And then like 2 days later, they had another pre-sale. Some other, I think it was like I don't know, Key Bank Arena pre-sale. And my buddies are like, hey, there's this other pre-sale. You can all right, I'll see what I can do. I'll see if I can get them. I go on. They wouldn't even let me buy those pre-sale tickets because I already bought the 4. So then I had to go.
Doesn't any of your other friends have charge cards that?
Well, so now it gets to the point like, look, dude, tickets are on sale on Friday. General, you can go on at 10 a.m. Here's where I'm sitting. You're responsible to get your own.
Great.
Nice. I have a question about the tours though. The new album and then the best of tour.
Yeah.
On that best of tour, do they just play every song they've ever made?
They play a lot of their hits. Well, they'd be there all night if they did that.
Well, that sounds about right.
I mean, Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner alone is 25 minutes.
This is even their longest tune.
Yeah, right. I know.
This is what not to do when the bird shits on you. Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. The other one, I love Bruce Spiel about the Tame a Land because Frank Herbert wouldn't give him permission to use Dune because they were a metal band.
Really?
So he's like, "Fuck you, we're gonna call it the table."
My favorite Iron Maiden tune of all time is "Still Life."
Oh, what a great
And
song.
I've never heard them play that live. And it's fucking killing me.
I love when they pull that out.
Yeah.
I think that's my second favorite. The Trooper's definitely number one for me.
Well, that record is my favorite record. Peace of Mind is my favorite Maiden album.
Yep, that's the first time they headlined here. I remember that was the concert I almost died at because it was the one we go in there, and when Dave Murray, they're playing the Star Spangled Banner, the crowd, everything went black. And I'm going, oh no, I'm reliving the Who 77. And I managed to get back, get a drink of water, watch it from the back. But the crowd, that was the first one. The crowd.
Well, that's when you go to a show and you get there early to stand up close.
we got
to seats.
4 o'clock because we were so into Iron Maiden.
But wasn't that the day when a concert went on sale at the tickets? You go downtown to the box office in the middle of winter. You stood in line. You got your tickets. It's like it was like an event just to get the ticket.
Yeah, it was the hunt.
We would stay up overnight sometimes. Like
Damn
Van
you,
Halen
internet.
played the Hollander Stadium. When I played Silver Stadium, we camped out overnight.
Well, so it was kind of an event, and then
I camped out for Maiden tickets. It was just, I slept in my bed and just got up the next day.
He slept in the recliner by the computer.
and then you go to the show and you get there early, so as soon as they open the doors, you go running. You know what I mean? It was so cool. And now it's like what Jeff and everybody does. You just sit there and pay $1,000 to Ticketmaster and $10 to the band, and bam, you
That's
have
the
your
other thing I
ticket.
have to say. Back in our day, God, I sound old. Back in our day, my boys, when we took the carriages, we took the horses to the shows. I'm thinking about it. I keep all my concert stubs.
I got mine.
The prices.
Oh,
I wish I did.
The prices. It's amazing now.
Yeah.
So here's cool, like a ticket stub story. My brother keeps all his tickets, and I used to take him to shows all the time. I'd bring him to Backstreet's, a bar, and he'd be like 10 or 11 years old, and he's like standing there just showing all these bands. Well, a couple Christmases ago, he gets me a doormat for my house, but the doormat is the ticket stub for Iron Maiden and Anthrax at the War Memorial.
Oh, that's cool.
And
That's
they
pretty cool.
turned it into.
They take a photo of it. And
Yes,
put it,
and they turned it into a doormat.
Wow.
It was sitting right
That's
in
awesome.
the kitchen,
That's
right
pretty
by
good.
my sliding glass door. My wife's like, "Why is this here?" I go,
Because nobody's wiping their feet on it.
That's where it needs to be.
This is history, right here.
That's awesome. One of the other things, too, is just for me, one of the things I'll bring up with all this music is for me one of the most underrated guitarists. We don't really even hear them about anymore from Doc and George Lynch.
Really? He does like 20
he's-
albums
yeah,
a
he's
year?
No,
doing
but
a-
I mean,
he's
he's
doing a
not.
ton
Who
of
really
stuff.
brings him up is, one of the great guitarists of the day in those days.
I think,
Oh, he
I think it's
definitely
because
is.
people are embarrassed to talk about Dokken.
That Dokken.
Dude, I was
People
at-
are embarrassed of that Dokken kind of love.
I was at the speaking of concerts that are memorable. I was at the show when they opened for Priest, and George had a problem with his guitar tech, and right on stage he punched the guy in the face. I swear to God. And then they were done with the show, or they're done with their set except the encore. And on the encore, George must have walked behind the back line, came out the other side, and the guitar tech was coming out the main side that George should have come out with his guitar. And George was just looking at him, reaching for the guitar, and you could see sparks going from his
I have
face.
the one
and-
story from that.
Oh,
The
it's
guitarist.
incredible.
I used to go see Crazy Train. My pal Pat, he might be on the Carnival down the line. They would come here. The one guitarist had a lot of problems, but it turned out I see Pat. They come play. He goes, "Where's he? Oh, he's not in the band anymore." Well, what happened to him? Well, he's got some issues. Well, he played for Dio for 2 weeks. Then he got fired, and I guess he was playing all the notes wrong.
Who is this? What guy?
I can't remember his name now. I'll send it to you sometime. But he played for Dio for 2 weeks. I guess he unzipped his pants and pissed on the amp and walked off stage.
That would do it.
Oh, if you're going to go out.
Oh my God!
That's a little
Never
bit
heard
of
such a
spectacle.
thing.
Yeah.
You know, Dokken, I saw them in 2004, and I was never really into them in the 80s when they were out. They did a fantastic show in 2004. They sounded twice as good as they did in the 80s.
I was a big Dokken fan ever since I heard Tooth and Nail came out. And
Paris is burning.
Paris is Burning pre
Breaking
that.
chains.
But I tell you, as good as George Lynch is, and he's a great guitar player. If any of you guys heard any of the stuff the last
Lynch Bob?
No.
No, the stuff he does with
No.
Doug Pinnick from.
Well, that stuff's good too, but I'm talking about Dokken albums. Anybody heard the last few Dokken albums
No.
with John Levin playing guitar?
No.
If you closed your eyes, you would swear it's Lynch. This guy has Lynch down better than Lynch does now. He plays that Dokken stuff because George can never do the same thing twice. If you ever hear him play the leads to any of these songs, he gets it close, but he just doesn't. He just can't recreate what he did. He's one of those people that just can never do it twice.
Because we are random and we have to talk about it just for a couple of minutes. You guys are all Steelers fans, and how do you think it's going?
Yeah, well, tell me how it looks like Roethlisberger's on purpose throwing passes to the opposition.
What the fuck?
What the hell's going on?
I know.
Well, the last 2 games he's done it.
But the one at the Denver game, Jesus Christ!
I think he's given the game away.
You're on the
You're at the 2-yard line and you throw it to the nose tackle.
Defensive lineman.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ!
That's for another episode.
So here's my issue with the Steelers. I love the Steelers. I've always been a fan of the Steelers. I used to really get upset during the drafts, like, oh, they got to draft this guy. Why aren't they signing this guy? And then I got to the point where I'm like, you know what? They've had years and years of success. They got a lot of people that know a lot more than me. I'm just going to sit back, watch the game, and enjoy it, right? But the problem that I have is the coaching schemes.
Yeah.
I, for the life of me, cannot figure out why you never change your game plan, specifically in defense. Fucking zone defense, your secondary has blown for a while. They're getting better now. But you go and you play, 2-3 years ago, you're going to play the Patriots in the AFC, I think it was the AFC Championship
and
game.
They're tearing you apart.
And the best one was 2 weeks earlier, the Patriots are playing the Chiefs, and the Chiefs almost beat the Patriots. And they played man D. They jammed the receivers at the line, threw Brady off his timing, and then we come in and go, hey, let's play 5-10 yards deep. Yeah. We're going to play a zone, and they fucking go up and down, and you never fucking change it.
Even at halftime.
What the fuck?
Even at halftime, like, nope, we're going to play that soft zone.
We won't talk about Mike Tomlin with you.
Oh, my God. Like, that just drives me up the wall. And then the next year, hey, let's play fucking zone again.
Okay, we better get off that.
You have like the most talented team, offensive, like unbelievable, and you can't fucking get out of the playoffs.
So what you're saying, Rob, is you don't really have many feelings about this.
I know you really need to express yourself. Otherwise, how are we going to know what's going on?
That's my issue.
I'm a casual Steelers fan at this point.
Mike Munchak for Emperor of the Universe.
I will say this though, like I'm a Steelers fan, and one thing I really liked about the Steelers is, the character of the ownership. To their credit, they don't make, just quick decisions. I mean, 3 coaches in
since
140 years,
since
right?
1969, there's only been 3 coaches.
And it's like if you don't have high moral character, they don't want you on the team. And what really bothered me is that stuff that happened with Roethlisberger.
I was kind of surprised they kept him on.
Like the first time, I'm all right. This could be somebody just accusing him, trying to get some money. So I gave him the benefit of the doubt, but I'm still like, I don't know, man. Like, how do you do that? And then the second one comes around, and I remember it came around. When I drove home from work, I walk into my house, I go to my kids, I go, hey, go up in your bedrooms and get your Roethlisberger jerseys. They're like, why? I go, just go get them.
Throw them in the garbage.
Yeah, they grab the jersey. I go, put them in the garbage. And they're like, what? I go, you're not wearing that dude's jersey. Like, we're done. Like, I'll root for the team, but that fucking guy, I couldn't deal with it.
Well, before you have a nervous breakdown, we're going to go. What do you think?
I thought this was about fun.
Yes, it
Georgie.
is. Well,
I thought that was. I thought that was
watching Jeff have a meltdown.
that was fun to watch. I don't know about you guys.
If you could ever find the ghost of Mike Sheldon, you could reunite. But one of the things, again, Iron Maiden next year, they're not playing a little club. They're not playing a bowling alley. They're playing a big arena. What do you think the staying power is of this kind of music? It's not just nostalgia, because it could be nostalgia for a while, but if it sucks, it wouldn't last. They'd be playing at the Bug Jar, which
but
I
they're
love.
still playing. I mean, they're still on top of their game, and they're still. The thing is, some bands can get by just playing their hits. You know what I mean? But bands like Maiden still want to create, and I think a lot of bands like Rush and Maiden, their fans still want to hear new music, and it still gives them integrity, and that's why you have the loyalty from the fans.
Rush fans, as I've seen Rush an awful lot, and they always seem like they get better. Neil Peart always says, we're always looking for that perfect gig. And the fans are into it. They don't just rest on their laurels.
Well, if there's certain bands that are more artsy, like a Maiden, a Rush, a Queensryche, and Dream Theater, and those fans stick with those guys no matter what they do. They know what Mike Port and I ate for breakfast yesterday. You know what I mean? And they stick with their bands. It's not like a
Banana
casual
pancakes,
thing.
by the way.
Yes, banana pancakes.
Well, we saw Jeff Tate play here, and you know the follow up to that thing when they played at the German House.
Oh.
Somebody worked there was telling me I was there a while later. I think we were there for a happy hour, and he's saying, "Oh, did you go to the Jeff Tate show?" I go, "Yes, I did." And my friends opened for them. Ha ha. Fox 45, we've been on here. So he said, "There's a guy down.
Great local band, by the way.
There's a guy down here. If it's the show, he's talking to me. Talked to him for over 2 hours. And somebody, that was Jeff Tate.
Really?
Yeah. Look, I wasn't interested in going to the show. I went. He did a great job.
Yeah.
Like I mean,
And I remember when they opened for Kiss.
He changed he changed how he presented the music, so he
can't
wasn't
hit the notes
Yeah,
anymore.
so it fit like where he could actually the range that he had, which I thought was great. Yeah.
But those kind of bands, because these bands are still doing great.
Mm-hmm. But it's the bands, like I was saying, that have the fans that have always been good to their fans. Let's take Poison or a Def Leppard. Well, no, Def Leppard's not a good case because they still have a good following. But there are bands that just create a casual following, and then there are bands that have real diehards. It's mostly guide bands. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. There's a book called Fargo Rock City where the guy in it's from Fargo, and he talks about growing up in the burbs, how he related to these bands. And then Kiss had that idea, okay, not everybody can go to L.A. or anything. We're going to come to you. And a lot of people follow those kind of bands.
Yeah, because if you're in small town USA and then all of a sudden here's a rock band coming to your, community baseball field and playing, you're like, I'm going to follow these guys.
And my
to the
friend
ends
who
of
grew
the
up in
earth.
Brockport
But
said that.
sometimes like a band, like if you lose a certain member of that band, it can kind of lose
Like
the
Kiki
quality.
Downey, Freeze.
I don't think Kiki Downey, but I'll use Queensryche as an example. When Jeff DeGarmo left that band, Chris my bad, thanks. Chris DeGarmo left that band. I don't think they put out anything good.
No, they didn't.
You're waiting for the. I get you're never going to recreate Operation Mindcrime. Like that almost unbelievable. They tried with Operation Mindcrime 2, which not good.
Although the last record they put out last couple of years is really good.
Is it?
It's the first good one I think since.
Is this with the new guy singing?
Oh yeah, it's
the new guy's
really good.
So maybe he's put some new life into him. Yeah. The new song that they got, I think the album comes out in April, but the new song that they just released was really, really good. But I think they as soon as Chris DeGarmo left the band, the quality just went downhill.
Well, it depends. Some bands can get by with that kind of stuff, and some if it's a key member that writes the songs,
right.
That's when you can go down the tubes because all of a sudden the guy that wrote all the hits you love is history.
So
then what do you do?
But you think like Maiden, like Steve Harris drives that band, and he that's his band. He's the sole original, like going way back to the beginning. He was the guy, and that's.
We could obviously. I hope you guys have had fun.
Yeah,
doing
you want to come
this.
back do this again?
Yeah,
sure.
And we'll do some other stuff. And if Gothic Toad ever reunites, we want an in-show. We want a performance here.
Well, I've got the tapes, so we can
will
always
hear,
play
but
the
there'll
tapes.
be a line around the block
don't want
and
my lawyer
everything.
calling you, man.
And I know we do. A lot of us these days, I
I gotta get it off YouTube.
Dude, I do not want to be dealing with the press again. I just got my head in the right spot.
You mean 40 years later you finally cleared
you
your
know
head?
how many psychiatrists I had to go to?
Oh man.
But a lot of us here, we're into plugs, not into hair plugs as we.
Well, there
need
was
a lot
the
of us.
bootleg out, Tale of the Toad, and didn't you get the proceeds from that?
You'll notice that it's not out there anymore because I pulled it.
That's where it went.
But we are into plugs here, not just hair plugs as some of us need at this age. So all of us have little things we bring to the table and we're involved in. If we'll just go down the line, we're all for helping our friends out, plugging everything, check them out. They're all cool. But we'll just start with John and go down. What are you involved in?
Oh, sure. I work with Domino's Pizza. We've got 14 locations in Western New York, and I like to interact with people who like to eat pizza.
I mean, we're good friends.
Yeah. Thanks, Jeff.
Did you have a thing, too, where you just sold enormous amounts of pizza at that one thing in Buffalo? The Comic-Con?
Oh,
The
we
good
didn't sell there.
Comic-Con?
We didn't sell there, but we were involved with the Buffalo Comic-Con at the convention center, and we were able to give out a lot of coupons and free pizzas and spinning wheels. And
What was the one you told me about where you ran out of pizza? Some fest or something recently?
well, every
You
time.
said you could sell how many and you ended up upping them?
Well, we'll save that story for another time. But I set the daily record for pizza sales in Sturgis, South Dakota, and the weekly record for pizza sales in Sturgis, South Dakota.
And imagine,
was it during the Sturgis event?
It was during the Sturgis.
That was it. It was Sturgis. That was the one.
Yep.
And I'm on a diet. I wasn't even there to help.
Which I'll tell you that we were told before we went out to this event that it would be a really wild and crazy time. It was really just a large number of doctors and attorneys who rode bikes and would say woohoo about every 15
minutes. We may
minutes.
talk bikes and get Jeff on there about that.
Are they the fake Harley guys that fly there
No, they
and
have
fly their bike there and then
it's
get off and ride
it's
it?
trailer day.
Trailer.
No. But Jeff, anything for you? What are you starting? You started a business, didn't you, this year?
Yeah.
And how do we get a hold of you, too, if we want to do this?
So about a year ago, left a traditional corporation and went into a startup based out of Silicon Valley, Palo Alto. It's an insurtech business. It's an online insurance shopping service. Website's called Get Jerry, so www.getjerry.com. You just sign up. We ask, I think, 3 bits of information, and we'll get all of your info associated with your cars right now. We'll have home up and running shortly, and we'll bring it to the marketplace, and here's the rates for what your risk is. And if you want to switch, hit a button, we'll switch you. If you don't want to, no big deal. At renewal, we'll redo it again. So in essence, we take insurance shopping and put it on cruise control for you.
Awesome.
So,
yeah. Rob, what's rolling on for you?
With me?
You drum something up now?
Drum something. Bad joke. So I don't do Lou Gramm anymore. Lou's retiring his band and doing other things next year. So, but I just am reuniting with my old friend Joe Camo, who was in a band on Metal Blade Records called Liege Lord, and they put out a few records in the late 80s, early 90s. And in 2000, we played the Wacken Open Air Festival, which is like the biggest in the world metal festival.
Sweden?
Germany.
Germany, okay.
And we recorded a record for Uriah Heep tribute record. We recorded a song for that. Ooh. And then since then, the band, without me, has done reunion shows here and there. And now they need a drummer. And so next year, if everything works out, I'll be going to Athens, Greece. There's 2 shows in March. One of them is co-headlining with Armored Saint and festival over in Greece. Yeah,
that's like a top 5 band for me right there.
And then we're going to Germany in May. I don't know what the gig is there yet. And then there's some U.S. dates in September. One's in Chicago, and they're trying to plan a couple around that date. Joe is still tour manager for Yes, and Yes is going to be busy most of next year. So there's not going to be a lot of Liege Lord dates, so I'm looking for other things to do too. But at least I got that going for me, as they would say in Caddyshack. So I'll be going over to Europe, playing some shows, heading to NAMM in January again. You know, NAMM's no, you guys ever been to NAMM? It's just phenomenal. It's the big musician equipment hang out in L.A. for a weekend in January where everybody goes. A lot of shows around the event. All the vendors are there. All the musicians go. Went there earlier this year. It's a blast. So I'll be doing that, and so that's it for me so far. Anyways,
excellent.
If I would have been paying attention, I had a great joke. Sweden, no Brockport.
Yeah,
but I was a split second too slow on that one. Damn.
But
well, yeah, and now to do our business, whatever the hell this was brought to you by our good friends at Upsitnik and Associates Law Offices, soon to be the legal representation for Gothic Toad and the reunion. We'll give you a call on that one. Find them on Facebook, Upsitnik and Associates. Find them online, upsitnikslaw.com. Oh, my. This was a good one. And now we have a whole lot of new information on things that are going on around the world.
Yeah, and hi, Mike Childone, wherever you are. We miss you.
Anything else? Anybody have a funny goodbye?
Irons, dude, I don't think we found the album. We better get out of these things before it collapses. And we told everybody where our secret lair was, so we'll be out of here by the time you hear this. Tough. Bye-bye.
Yep. See y'all.